Hello everyone and welcome to another video, and today we are actually testing Rennsport, or I think in German it's actually called Rennsport. I think you can roast me down in the comments. I don't think the pronunciation was just about okay. I tested it a couple of times before I started to make this video, but yeah. We will just get straight into this one, and yeah, we are at the main menu. So I just started the game. Like, the menu seems to be fine. You can use your profile. Okay, I added my picture and all of that. So we can quickly go through the menu and I can show you around what we got. So basically, I did a race already. Yeah, first we got the multiplayer, which is divided into 3 sections. The first one is the official events. You got leagues and you got custom contents. So yeah. Here you got the full calendar. You can pretty much like filter all of that stuff out, but in general I think this is of course in beta phase, I do have to say, so not everything is working and is not as polished as probably it should be and will be in the end. So we got sprint at Hockenheim, we got Monza, we got like a couple of other races that you can see as well. So I did a race in Hockenheim. It was kind of okay. I think I was kind of experimenting with all of the things that I wanted to experiment, and it was an okay in the end. So the menus actually look okay. It's quite simple to enter the race. You just have to find your slot, you have to register, and then you can even click this notify me. Series starts in just about a minute. I'm gonna remove my notification because I don't want to race in that one. And if you register, it's going to show once again in the bottom corner when the race starts, and you cannot really miss it. So you can press the tab button and it will once again move you to the calendar section. So I will go quickly through the calendar once again. Let's say I signed up for this one. I don't want it, and I don't want to get signed up for this one, so I'm going to remove the notification, and I don't want to race in these sessions. You got like a couple of pages on this one. I think every race is every like 15 to 20. I think it's about 20 minutes, and you got a couple of them. I'm not exactly sure why they haven't divided this into kind of structured system, but everything is kind of listed down. So it would be nice to have a detailed overview of each series rather than, rather than just a list. The list doesn't show you everything, and it's you kind of get lost easily on the list. I mean, it's okay. The visuals are fine, but I think it would be better to have like a better visual representation of the series. So if we go back, you can go to leagues once again. You got the front wheel drive holiday league, for example, Porsche GT3 league, and here are all of the requirements. Once again, I'm not exactly sure why we don't have a little picture that indicates which kind of series it is, because if you're racing in a GT3 series, you can have like a couple of GT3 cars, or like a Porsche GT3 Cup, just have a Porsche up there instead of having all of these lists. I think it's gonna work like this. It works really well, I guess, but it's it would be, in my personal opinion, this is not an objective opinion, this is completely subjective, it would be nice to have a little photo of what the series is about to represent. So I wanted to go to custom contests, and here I believe there are going to be servers that you can join, and on top of that you got the single player, which has quick session and time trial. Time trial isn't available in this beta testing, so you can only play a single player one. You can choose from a couple of cars. Not every car is available at this point. I do think with that we got just about, 11 cars, including this Praga. So it's okay. I think it's working really well at this point. Like, the menus, they do need to be polished, although, because I don't know if you noticed, but when I click over something, it kind of hovers for a second. You get this hovering effect, and then it just disappears. So you got this orange color, and then it just completely disappears, even though I didn't change much. So I mostly drove this Porsche 911 GT3R, which is okay. And then in the end, you got like a couple of tracks. This is beta. This is like a community content that is going to post it. But we got Monza, Spa, Daytona, which I tried. It's kind of okay. I think the graphics are not exactly the way they should be, but we'll see about that later. I did Hockenheim, one race, and I did Michelin Road Atlanta. This is the one where I spent the most time, I believe, and it was kind of an okay experience, nothing too special. Nürburgring GP, that's the one that I haven't tried yet, but we also got this Orchard Road Street Circuit, which is a sprint circuit. Only a couple of corners. I don't know. It's kind of okay. I tried it, but I don't know. It's a road. I don't even know how to explain it, but only a couple of corners. It's very narrow. You don't have a lot of chances to actually go for a move. And for racing, I don't know how this is going to look like. So my idea was to show you how Daytona looks like with the Porsche 911. So the loading screens, everything seems to be fine. But before we move on, I do have to suggest that we go through the option menu. So my audio, okay, everything is like at a 100 except for the music. Video resolution, I'm 140, 140 or 2K. Basically, I'm using 2K, and displays don't actually have values yet because this is just beta mode. So I guess displays will also have some kind of different. I guess it's called different. So we got full screen, DirectX 12 resolution. All of this is epic. Frame rate. This is actually very important. So the frame rate at this point is 240. I was limiting this one at 240 frames per second. Although you will see that the game isn't even close to 240. Rendering, which you can see that it takes a couple of clicks to eventually go to another part of the menu. Mirror FPS, we can increase this to like 60. Let's do 60. Rendering distance, let's put it all the way up to like 150 meters. Mirrors resolution, you can change it, like we can put that to high, and all of this other stuff is enabled. Okay, let's save this one. Okay, yes, I would like to save it, and then we can leave the menu and go into gameplay. So I'm using this camera, field of view is 99, although you can put it like to 90. I found out that kind of the best was like 95, 90. This is completely personal preference, so I am, yeah, this is just my subjective opinion, so you can do whatever you want with this one. This one, I don't think it's really that important. Assists. In this one, I got everything at automatic because I haven't really mapped all of the buttons yet, and gearbox is the only thing that it's manual. And in a race car, that's, I believe, only thing that you really need. Telemetry, if you go to the telemetry, I enabled it, but unfortunately I don't know where to see all of the data. And the replays, for some reason, like the replays, you know, no matter how many times I click on it, it's like, it's still enabled, but I don't really know where to save the replay. So maybe that's my bad. Maybe it's like a combination of keys. To be honest, I'm not entirely sure how to work with that. Controls, I had a kind of a tough time to get my GT DD Pro to work. I guess you can find like a couple of presets. You can go down there and you can load, like, there are actually a lot of presets that you can use, and on top of them you will have to use some minor adjustments in the game. So the wheels, as you can see, like, yeah, you got like a couple of them. Well, not a couple of them. There's like, you know, a good amount here. So let's go back. So yeah, the wheel looks okay. The pedals, you know, I had to invert them, but they're actually functional. So you can see I'm moving the pedals. Everything seems to be moving really well. Second throttle, I don't have that mapped. So the default max wheel angle is 900. You can move it the way, like in general, the way you like it. Like a couple of these points, offset. I'm not exactly sure why you would have dead zones of any kind, but that's okay. And we will go to like a couple of other options. I don't think I really changed anything here, except I did change the force feedback here. So I'm using a GTDD Pro that has 5 Newton meters, and I put this value up to 2. Force feedback is 100, and the wheel, this is kind of strange because you have to manually adjust and how much torque your wheelbase has. So it cannot go to auto. I think it only goes to 1 or to like 50, which is like 50 Newton meters. I don't think anyone has something like that. Maybe something like that exists, but I'm not exactly sure, you know, who has 50 Newton meters. But okay, I tested this one at 5. If I go all the way up to 50, there are little or no force feedback. So make sure that you adjust this value, you know, where you actually see it, you know, where you actually see it going. So for me, this is 5 Newton meters, and you can see once again, if I click on the menu, it doesn't stay like that. So you have to find once again that specific point where like the mouse stays. either way, I'm not gonna get too much about that. Thick rate 400, minimum force 0, and that's pretty much about it. I spent some time working this out, so it wasn't actually straightforward as it was. You can map the buttons here, interface. Like you need a couple of clicks to make sure everything is working. So it's not, it's not as straightforward as you would think that it is. So we can leave the menu. I am quickly gonna go for a little drive, just to show you how, just to show you how racing in general works. So we will start from this view, so you can see a couple of things that I noticed. And the first thing that I noticed is this blurring effect. So if you're running this camera, you can see that the car is blurred up in this field, and the faster you go, the more kind of distant it will become. So I'm not exactly sure, but I guess this is not a polished version, so I'm not gonna take this as a huge minus, because it's definitely not. I think this is gonna get polished later on. So we can quickly go through most of these views, and the frame rate at this point is just about 30 frames per second. I don't know. To be honest, I'm running RTX 3060, which should be more than enough to run a game like this, which was developed in 2023. And at this point, I'm only running 30 frames per second, so the game is very demanding. And honestly, I don't really see the reason why it would be like that, because if we stop right here, you can actually start to see the grass and all of the details. Everything seems to be fine, everything looks okay when you stop. But once you get going, especially from this view, you got this blurred effect, which, I don't know, everything has become so blurry. I'm not a huge fan of this, and I think this option is a bit too blurry, and in general they should really remove it, or just, move it down a little bit, because you cannot really focus on one point because everything is so blurred up. I guess you can brake, everything works really well if you just brake normally and all of the rest of the stuff, but yeah, it's pretty strange. If you change the camera to something else, you can see once again you got this little shadow that I'm not exactly sure what it's going, but my frames are just about 30 frames per second at this point, which is, I don't even know how to explain it. I'm usually running games without any problems whatsoever. So yeah, you can see like the graphics are not exactly 2023 graphics. I know iRacing, for example, has not the best graphics, but I thought this was gonna be a little bit better when it comes to the graphical experience. Although I will stop, I'm gonna show you something. Like if we stop right here, if we stop the car actually looks really well, but the surroundings, like all of the trees and all of the other stuff, doesn't really look that great. So the car, I believe the car is very well designed. If you have a little look from the sides, if you go to check out another camera, I think interior of the car could be a little bit better, but I think it's up to the standards of 2023 and 2024. So yeah, we can quickly go have a little look. If you stop by, everything seems to be fine, but then as soon as you get going, everything seems to be like so blurred up that it's, all of the attention to detail just goes to waste. And I don't know, it might be my subjective opinion, but I think this definitely needs a polishing. Okay, my lap is invalidated. So yeah, let's go from this point of view. Penalty stays here until you go to the next lap. Okay. Like the brake and all of that works, I think it works okay. It's not like the best sim that I ever tried. I think iRacing still has a bit better feel. Over over how the car works and how the car feels. But you can get the car to work. I mean, it's no problem to feel the details. But it's like the handling is very, very different, weird at one point. Because you can put the power down and then you can start to, adjust the car. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. I guess, like at low speeds, the car becomes really unstable, but when you're at like 3rd or 4th gear, you can really react to pretty much anything. So if the car slips out, you can pretty much correct it and nothing will happen. So let's quickly go through this sector. But it's also not impossible to lose the car, which is a very important aspect of all of this. So yeah, let's see what I can do here. And you can see the shadows are not exactly like the best. Maybe my RDX 3060 isn't the best, but still, if you have a 3060, I think any game should run. Well, not smoothly, but smoother than most of the other graphics cards. Like, the surface feels okay, but I think it still needs a bit of detailing. And also depends on what kind of wheelbase are you running this with. Let's try to do something here. Got it. Yeah, corrections on corrections, which is not bad. Okay. The car kind of still slips out, but I guess it's okay. I mean, it needs a bit of polishing, but to be quite honest with you, it seems promising. It seems promising, except for the graphics. I don't know if they can change the graphics so much that it becomes so incredible that, you know, you don't want to play any other games because of the graphics. Kind of, I'm missing the apexes, but yeah, and I got a penalty for cutting the track, so there are definitely limits. And okay, we crossed the finish line. I don't think the lap time was really that great of 46, so it definitely can be faster. I mean, I don't think I'm the fastest guy in the world, but this is the one that I forgot. So if, for example, I'm gonna keep on going. This is a really interesting thing, because if you're going like this, and then you just press the menus, the car keeps on going. So I cannot control the car, I can only control the menu. So you need to press continue to keep on eventually controlling the car, which is, in my opinion, I think this option definitely needs to be modified. So you either stop the car or you have an auto drive, autopilot, or whatever you have. So if you're driving a car, please don't press, don't press the menu. Otherwise, the car will just keep on going, which is kind of tricky. You might crash, or yeah, you might crash. And yes, in the end, I wanted to have a couple of words with you guys about this product, or how the game actually feels like. So it's, at this point, I don't really know what to think about it. I think it's not polished as it should be. I know it's only beta. The graphics are not the best. The driving is okay, but it could be better. The menus need a little work. I do like that their focus is esports, and most likely they will stay in this kind of esports genre and keep on working with esports. But the point that I don't get is that they were giving out these beta codes all around the place from, I think, even last year. I think it, maybe not last year, but I think it started over the summer of 2023. I applied for my code and I waited just about a couple of months to get my code. In the meantime, they were holding a competition called ESL R1, which had a grand prize of 500,000 euros. And to me, that's, from the marketing perspective, isn't the best thing to do. Why? Because you're giving out 500,000 euros to the guy that wins a competition in a game that no one plays and can only be tested. So from the marketing perspective, this is actually mind-blowing, because why would you spend that amount of money into a racing game that no one yet knows how to drive, and no one really knows about this game? So everyone is kind of talking about the game, everything knows, you know, what the game is supposed to represent, but no one actually has hands-on experience about these games. And I was like, okay, maybe I'm missing something. But then I just wanted to get my code as soon as possible, and I thought, okay, I do have a channel. I don't want to sound like too cocky about all of this, but I wanted to like ask the guys, can you maybe get a code for testing? And then they said, yeah, you need to wait in line like everyone else. And I said, yeah, well, come here. I mean, I'm gonna wait in line. There is no problem about it. But if you spend, and that's what's going on in my hand, if you spend 500k into an esports event, which is, you know, no one really did it before, which is, you know, good for the esports, but you're spending that amount of money, but you don't want to advertise the game, which is kind of like, okay, I don't understand what your point is. So you want your game to be developed by esports racing drivers, which is okay, but then, you know, spread the word out, you know, make other people more interested in something like this, which it seems like an okay product. I mean, I think it has a lot of potential. It's not as polished as it should be because, of course, it's just in beta. But when I'm looking at the menus and when I'm looking at the graphics and all that stuff, especially the graphics, I'm not exactly sure if they can fix the graphics that much. Or maybe I should need, I don't know, I need a 4090 to run this game, which is not, you know, which is not a solution even in any kind of esports or any kind of gaming genre. So you need to get like a very, very good graphics card to run this game properly. So I was running this at only 30 FPS, and it looked okay, but it didn't really look great, to be honest. Not for 2024, definitely not for 2024. But on the other hand, they're trying to introduce esports into all of this. They're trying to base this game on esports, which I think it's a really good thing. I mean, don't get me wrong, I do think this is a good idea, but from the marketing perspective, as I said before, I don't see it. I don't see the point, but still, you can let me know down in the comments what do you think about this. If you haven't maybe tried this game out, if you haven't, please let me know if you would like one more video on specific point that I can address. So that is pretty much it. So guys, thank you very much once again for watching, and yeah, I will catch you next time. Bye.